Good evening. Welcome to Rivalz. Geoffrey and Adam Ross here, as we are weekly. It's our final show before the holidays, Adam, and we're looking for some fans tonight. Let us know what you guys want to talk about. We'll take a look at the year in review. Great topics to talk about as well. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. I think it's fair to say that you show up weekly all the time.
Yeah, I try to be on time. If
See
there's
what I
one thing
did
we're
there?
doing, this is it. Yeah.
See, I don't know if you missed it or if you just blew right past it because you didn't weekly, like as in not strong, as in you show up weekly.
I did
Other week.
right past. Yeah, I didn't catch
Okay.
that one.
That's all
I'm
right.
confused because my preview screen's black. Is yours? Not sure if I missed something on my end, but we just had sound.
Excuse my slurping. Yeah, mine was black too, but that was the pause before we got going. So when I look at it on GeForce TV, it shows up fine, but on our preview screen, yeah, it just shows up as a backdrop with us not on it. Which actually, we look better not on the screen, I think, than we do on the screen quite often.
And then Spencer jams it to us because there we are in our own heads. But it's great to be with you, everybody. We're going to touch on some topics we talked about early this season. As you see, our sponsors scroll across the bottom of the screen here. If there's anybody you're looking to fill your stocking with or get a last minute gift for, give a look at some of the folks on our screen here. Great stuff going on as we lead it up. Speaking of Christmas, Adam, the Glen Stars Racing auction finished last week. Right at the end of our show, it closed at 9 o'clock. Some great prizes went out. Spencer, roll some of the stuff that they were showing. They went on to raise over $7,000 for charity in the local area, which is amazing. Off of donated parts, pieces, and some great products. Things like a generator and a power washer were kicked in by some of the folks like WJ Heathlips and O'Neill's Farm Garden. So some amazing stuff came down. Autograph Freddie Carlton wheels. So great job by everyone on the parts and pieces and made that happen. Great job by Kevin Miller to get that done. I think it's great. I think it's in about its fourth year now. Continues to grow. Right away, the numbers just skyrocketed at him. Your thoughts on something cool like this? I think it's a great idea that they take this idea and run with it.
No, it's fantastic, Clint. How often do we chat, brainstorm, and think, okay, how do we stay involved with people, not only through the off season, but most of our business started at Hushweekend. So how do we stay involved with our fans from Saturday morning until Friday morning? We're on people's mind on a Friday night. So you've got the off season, you've got all the days a week when we're not at the racetrack. So these sort of things are fantastic. And when we mention this week after week after week, the racing family is an amazing family. So when we can get together and do things that benefit others, it reflects positively on the whole racing family. And I think that's awesome.
I know you love when we hash ideas out live. So here's an idea I have. I'll have apparel, in my Strickland's Dirt Track Nation sweater tonight. But I'm sure you're like a lot of us and a lot of viewers out there. You've got stacks of old racing t-shirts, maybe some old, maybe some brand new. I mean, I got one brand new in my dresser that I've never, ever worn. I'm not sure what you got on there. I can't see it. An old Hushweekend Speedway shirt?
No, it's better than that.
That's the post from years ago, isn't it? Okay, yeah.
I would say this is from what, the year 2000? 2001. How long ago was that?
Yeah, around 2000.
And it's one of those t-shirts that I've never gotten rid of. I have dozens of newer shirts, G4 shirts, Hushweekend shirts, all sorts of race shirts. But this one has stood the test of time. It just feels good to have it on. It's funny. So folks, tell us that. Do you have any racing apparel that you've had? My kid is obsessed with buying racing apparel. So we've got hats and shirts from everywhere over the years. But to me, this is one that has stood the test of time. So what do other people have that they just won't give up, that they just can't bear to throw out? I'd be curious to know.
Mine is an old Humberstone Eva Destruction shirt with holes in it, and it's ratty. You'd think it's a rag to wash, but it's actually one of my favorite shirts. Like he says, that shirt you have on is when the Hamilton Police Service came out to the races and used to race mini stocks, and they had a whole Racing Against Drug campaign. Actually, my brother drove the racing's 01 Hamilton Police back in the day. And, they gave us those. That's Larry Wood for some of you old timers out there. They're very instrumental with Lauren and running the olds that they haven't been able to do all year. Another casualty of COVID. And I know you took it there, and I would love to take my dad there. He's stuck out in the East Coast, but so great story there. My thought, Adam, though, is so I was a couple weeks ago, and Big Shoots was to me, hey, old shirts, I need to get rid of them. Do we just donate them? What do we do? And I've been thinking about this for a while. Kind of like the or it could be
Clint. Clinton. I don't know what we can do, Clint. If you need to reboot to sort out I don't think it's your mic. I think it's your connection. So I want to hear your full idea. We're only getting every few words, but Spencer, let's do this for just a couple of minutes. Well, hopefully we can get Clinton sorted out here. But I had shared some comments that I want to go through. And when we do get Clinton back at full song, I want his opinion on them. But can you throw up these comments? We're going to welcome a guest to the program fairly shortly in Jake Hooker, and I'm excited to see what this young man has to say. But let's throw something up there, Spencer, for discussion, because we've had some great comments so far already. Wow. So a project I worked on, Jesus, it's got to be nearly 20 years ago, the Lucas Oil Pit Stop Challenge. That's really cool that you got your shirt, Kevin. I think I threw mine away not too long ago. But yeah, that's going back nearly 20 years. We had a comment from Gary Short, and I don't know if it'll make it on the screen right now, but what I would like you to do, if you're an asphalt fan, let us know what you thought of the dirt races this year on GeForce TV. If you're a dirt fan, let us know what you thought of the asphalt races you saw. And don't hold back. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. I'd really like to know your opinions. And Gary makes a great point, because Gary has been involved in motorsports for a long time. He's been involved in road racing. He got involved in short track racing. And I don't know how we convinced him to come out and check out the dirt. But he came out to the dirt track, and I dare say we turned him into a dirt racing aficionado. So we were really pleased to have Gary Short turned into a dirt fan. And obviously, he's still going to love road racing and still going to love asphalt racing. But it's nice when we can cross over, because the big events, when you put on a special event, no matter what the promoter is, whether it's Sauble Speedway on a long weekend, whether it's Jukasa at the Short Track Nationals, whether it's Oshweekend at the Sprint Car Nationals, or Brockfield in October, or Applefest at Brighton, or Autumn Colors Classic at Peterborough, or Frosttoberfest at Flamborough, I think we need to really promote. I think we need to go out of our way to try to go to more events, take in different racetracks, see what the other promoters are doing. Because I'll tell you, the promoters did a great job this year. They put in a lot of work. The facilities looked great, and it was a tough year, but they made it through. Okay, Wesley Shaw, great question. I got to say, I was more of a fan of dirt than seeing some asphalt racing this year. Definitely makes me want to see the APC series live and also visit Flamborough Speedway. I'm going to tell you something. I was happier this year for John Casale than I was for anybody else. We needed to go racing this year in the worst way. A bunch of track promoters made that happen. Dave Bittner down at Humberstone, Don Speece at Merrittville, Brighton and the Rinaldis. But Flamborough Speedway hosted events. And then they hosted the NASCAR Pinty Series. And Flamborough Speedway was shown on TSN, the sports network. And John Casale has been promoting this place longer than I've been alive. It's going on 50 years that the Casale family has run Flamborough Speedway. And I was so happy to see their product show up on national television. And did it ever look great? I would love for people to come down and visit Flamborough Speedway who had never been there before. Take it in, enjoy it. It's a little bit of racing history in Canada. I mean, a lot of great drivers came through Flamborough Speedway. Terry Dewey says, asphalt fan, but I can say I managed to get into Brighton this summer and really enjoyed the show after seeing a dirt broadcast on G-Force. Terry, thanks so much. Thanks for taking that trip. While we're mentioning different tracks, let's talk about Brighton Speedway is a fantastic getaway. You're down into a part of cottage country. That part of Ontario is beautiful. You've got the lake there. There's cottages. There's campgrounds all over the place. So much like Sauble Speedway up north, Brighton Speedway is a getaway. You can go down there for a whole weekend if you want to get away, take in some racing, but also see the beach and get out on the water a little bit. Jomo's promos, I really enjoyed watching the dirt stuff. Gave me great insight into that world. Big fan now. And we can see it even on this program. And to let you guys know, Clinton is coming back. He's rebooting his system because we want to get that connection better. I know how frustrating it can be when we don't get to hear all of what he's got to say. It's hard for me to argue with Clint when he doesn't get the full sentences out. He needs every word he can get. But it was really fulfilling to us because we see our numbers rising as well. The numbers of people who tune into this show on a weekly basis to tune into our races. And it's what we want. It's what the partners want. You know, people like APC, people like Strickland's GM, all of these different entities, Northern Performance, WeatherTech, people getting involved. They want to see racing as a whole get bigger and bigger. So we want to thank you for supporting that. And we were pretty excited to bring it to you. Let's bring in Jake Hooker while we wait for Clinton Geoffrey. You probably know the name Hooker, Kirk Hooker, a great dirt racer, a great pavement racer, and now the next generation, Jake Hooker, has really staged this well. Nicely done, Jake. You got the car in the background. You got you out there in the shop. How have you been, man?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, that was a big discussion. We wanted to show our beautiful race car that we didn't get to debut this year.
That's a nice looking shop space. I'm looking at the ceiling there, so it must be nice and bright to get your work done. It helps a lot when you've got all the comforts.
Yeah, this is our shop right behind our house. We sold the golf course last year, and unfortunately, we had to lose our big shop. So we kind of invaded my mom's garage, and now it's full of race cars.
Now, what makes it mom's garage and not dad's garage?
She usually in the wintertime she usually parks her car in here in the heat. Um, and she kind of claimed it as soon as like growing up all the way through it was always her. She always had her parking spot.
So you evicted your mother. You threw your mother out into the cold.
I did. I was part of it, but that was mostly all dad. He was like, "Hey, Diane, you gotta go. It's time for the race car to come in here with the heat."
So let's talk racing, Jake. You come from a racing background. Your dad was great in multiple disciplines. Where do you get your drive from?
Um, I don't know where I got my drive from. I definitely learned and grew up all the way around racing. With having both my parents drive, it was kind of naturally in the blood. Um, and I've kind of just been fortunate enough to follow through my dad's footsteps, but kind of make my own. So I guess I get my drive towards them. They both have great footsteps. Dad's won races all across Canada and the States, and mom's even got fortune. Mom's won some races around here. So those guys, they're definitely great. My sister Taylor, she's a great critic. She always pushes me, and she kind of is the median towards us all. She wasn't always into the racing, but she's come along and came a lot closer towards it.
You know, it's funny you say that. My family is the same way. My brother enjoyed racing, but he didn't get the sickness like I did. And my parents met at a racetrack. Like I come from a racing family, but he could take it or leave it. Me, not so much. I had to be around it. I had to go to as many races as I possibly could, and I still do.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. What's up?
So you wanted to come on. I was really pleased that you reached out. and you wanted to chat. Was there something specific that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, there's lots of subjects I'd like to talk about, but first off, before we get into the race rival chat, I would just like to take a minute and say this year we lost a great uh, legend around here. Brett Riom passed away, and he was a junior Hanley around where we're from. And I know like that is a bold statement, but he was a businessman, basically a second father to me. There was lots of times where you could call him and his wife Nancy, who is an angel. You could call them anytime; they'd always pick up. And I just want to say, just give him the remorse that he deserves. Andrew and Michael, they have taken over Westside, and I'm sure those guys will be take it over and do what Bert would want them to do and be very successful with it. And just ask everyone to keep the Riom family in their thoughts and prayers.
Well said. Well said for sure.
Thank you.
As I say, I knew you wanted to come on and get something off your chest, but I didn't know it was going to come from your heart. So I wanted to give you that chance just so we didn't get to the end and have me screw up by not letting you get to it. So what made you choose the dirt car?
Actually, it's a pretty good story. We around and but we always had a dirt car, and as soon as like I moved up through the ranks, got won some pretty big races, and the asphalt car was getting older and stuff, and we sold it to I think it was Jeff or Rick Walt. They bought one of our cars, and the dirt car actually stayed in cart storage. So it was a pretty easy decision to go to that because it was just it was always sitting there. And then with time, my parents moved me up to the late model, and that's was actually my first car was my dad's last car that he ran.
Right on. So Jake, how old are you?
I am 20 years old.
And how long has it been since your dad raced Speed Weeks at New Smyrna?
I think his last year that he ran was 2014, and he ran Speed Weeks. I think it started in the early 90s. Like it,
Oh
it
yeah,
was quite the
I watched him a lot.
yeah.
I watched him a lot of nights at New Smyrna. The reason I asked, did you get to go on those trips? Because those trips are hard work, long days, late nights. Did the whole family go down for those?
No, just dad went. Actually, growing up, they always promised me if I got a 70 average in high school, my uncle and my dad would take me, and I always did, but I never was lucky enough to go. But in 2017, they took me down there. My uncle Randy and my dad and Greg Gibson. So we all went down
Nice.
there for a guys trip, and we hit 8 racetracks in 7 nights, and probably one of the best vacations ever. I got to meet all the guys my dad hung out with for 20 years, so it was cool. I got to meet a lot of great guys. I got to meet Steven Nassing, hung out with him 4 nights in a row. Stephen Wallace. I even got to hang out with Alex Bowman and talk to Kyle Larson a little bit. So it was a great trip. It was, yeah, it's just an awesome trip.
The funny thing is, Jake, and I'm sure you can speak to this, but when you're at Speed Weeks at New Smyrna or Volusia or wherever, Kyle Larson isn't the same Kyle Larson you see at Daytona Speedway, where you don't get, like, he's a superstar. He's just another guy at the racetrack. They're all just guys walking around in hoodies, and they want to come and talk to your dad. Like, they would want to come and see his car, see how they're doing, because they're there to be racers and race fans. It's like the tables are turned, and they're not a celebrity anymore. They're just regular guys.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it? The first night at Smyrna, Nasty came up with a golf cart and basically knocked my dad over. Like, get in, Hook. We gotta go. I gotta show you some stuff. So that was pretty cool, especially for those guys on that type of caliber, right? It was really shocking and overwhelming. Even we went down to Tech Shed, and that's where Wallace was, and Wallace basically hugged my dad there. So, and then I got to meet Ricky Brooks. He taxed my dad for so long. So it was it was like you said, the tables turned. It was definitely, I kind of felt like a superstar down there.
Absolutely. So, Jake, where can people find you? Now, you phoned me because you said you're not big on typing and texting. So do you have a social media presence, or are people going to have to wait until race season and come see you?
Yeah, actually, my girlfriend mostly runs that, and it's on Jake Hooker Motorsports on Facebook. I mean, I wanted to call you because I wanted to make it more personal. Like I wanted to go on the show. I'm a weekly fan.
Oh, and I appreciate it. We had a great chat on the phone, and I sometimes forget because on Facebook I'm pretty accessible. I'm easy to find. But as far as phone numbers and that, and wanting to pick up the phone, that's old school, man. That's a new way of doing things. But I appreciated the call, and folks, if you want to come on, please, if you're a racer and you want to be on the show, come on the show. We want to talk to you. That's what we do. We're one of you. You just have a race car, and I don't.
I mean, I don't have a race car. My parents do. So
Even better.
yeah, it's definitely a best of both worlds for sure.
Nice. Jake, it was awesome visiting with you. Is there anything you want to tell people before we say goodnight?
I just want to thank you G-Force guys for what you guys did for the racing community this year. Was definitely eye-opening. My with having 5 people go to the pits, it made it a lot tougher for people to choose. So for people to watch at home was a great deal. And just thank you, and hopefully everyone has a safe and happy Merry Christmas.
Awesome. Jake Hooker, thank you so much. Say hello to your folks, please. Kirk Hooker, man, one of the great guys in the pit area, just a real class individual. And man, you want to talk about a crew that knows how to have fun. That group was always enjoying themselves. So Merry Christmas. Have a great night, Jake.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
So Jake Hooker, unfortunately, Clint wasn't here to join in the fun with Jake, but that's okay. It was nice for me to take a trip down memory lane. A lot of people remember those days of the All-Star Late Model Series, and Kirk Hooker was a fixture in that. He was a fixture at the World Series of Asphalt Racing at New Smyrna Speedway in Florida. He does it on the dirt. He does it on the pavement. Spencer and Clinton are working in the background right now to try to get Clinton back into the mix. I'm going to go back through some of these comments because I enjoy them. Doug Erskine still has a Steve Kinzer shirt from his NASCAR ride in the 26. Yeah, the Quaker State car. That, man, he banned a lot of equipment driving that race car. Jomo has an old David Elliott Racing shirt, been wearing for 10 years or so. Getting hard to wear it, though, because of the holes. I'm trying to remember. I raced for Dave Elliott, and I don't remember them having shirts. I'll have to call him and see if he's still got any. Don Martin just arrived. Better late than never. Thanks for showing up, my friend. Okay, and Mike's looking for race t-shirts. This is something that we need to add, and we're going to talk about Dirt Nation a little bit later on in the hour. But 3XL and 4XL. Folks, when you're doing your shirt orders, I'm going to tell you this much. Don't forget the voluptuous people. When we did some G-Force apparel, the happiest person that I sold a shirt to was the one that picked up his 5XL. He said, because it's so hard to find any shirts in a size that'll fit. And they were thrilled to get it. So when you're looking for exposure and you're looking to sell apparel, don't forget the big people in the world. We need a bit of love too. Yeah, let's try Clint. Clint, we got you back?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sure can.
Yeah,
Sorry you missed Jake Hooker.
I got major. I'm sorry to Jake, I didn't get in there. I have major telephone issues here. Internet. I don't know what's going on. So I got my cell going. I'm hopefully going to be back online here in just a second. But we want to talk about the Friday Night Thunder package that's going on. And, that's been a big thing at our weekend. And we're going to ask Spencer now to run that video for us. And run that trailer, Spencer, and I should be back ready to talk by the time we get this phone.
Trailer is so awesome. I mean, it gives me chills every time I see it. I reached out to the Friday Night Thunder crew, and because I think it was Dusty Bohr last week asked what was up with this. So this was a documentary that they filmed at our weekend, and I'm just going to read a couple things here that Laura Milliken sent me. Friday Night Thunder is the only series about Indigenous race car drivers in the grassroots stock car racing world. Centers around families that race at Ohsweken Speedway in the crates and 360 classes, and tells a story about Ohsweken Speedway, Canada's preeminent dirt track facilities, and the only one based in an Indigenous community. This 13-part, 30-minute documentary series, so it's going to be 13 30-minute segments, will air on the Aboriginal People's Television Network here in Canada in winter, spring in 2021. The premiere date has yet to be announced, but it is coming up. Friday Night Thunder will return to Ohsweken Speedway to produce another 13 episodes in 2021, with more racers being featured, as well as providing a glimpse into some of the other teams and drivers that they didn't get to meet in the first season. Season 1 is a fun-filled, heart-stopping, adrenaline-filled, an emotional roller coaster of a ride that takes drivers through an entire season at Ohsweken Speedway, with special appearances being made by some heavy hitters like Christopher Bell, Rico Abreu, Tony Stewart, and some crazy surprises from track owner Glenn Stires, who always has something up his sleeve. Big Soul Productions also produced a limited podcast series that will be available on the show's website, and you can find more by going to FridayNightThunderTV.com. Following each broadcast, the episode on APTN, they'll be uploaded to their site, which can be joined around the world. And Adam, we talked about this before when they first came to town. We were a little bit leery. Are they only going to feature 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers? But man, they did such an amazing job telling the story of Ohsweken. And I'm super excited because, as the manager, you're always a little bit leery when people come in. You know me, I'm a bit of a cynic anyway. So when they started hanging around, I'm like, all right, let's see what this looks like. But the first time I got called in the studios to do some voice work, I was shocked at how awesome this looks. And everybody, even if you're not an Ohsweken fan, just a dirt track fan in general, this series is going to appeal to you. It's going to be awesome.
And we've got 2 things I want to say. I think someone asked, what is APTN? I believe it stands for Aboriginal People's Television Network, Clinton.
That's correct. It's if I understand correctly, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but the way it was explained to me many years ago is APTN is a national Indigenous broadcasting a network that features Indigenous programming across the entire Canadian nation. And whether you're on satellite or cable provider, every one of them contribute to a cultural fund. So everywhere, I believe every broadcasting network, or should I say broadcasting company, whatever provider you're with, has APTN on it. So it has a huge market that comes to every home in Canada, and that's going to be awesome. We're also talking about maybe getting some of our Ohsweken races on there. I would love nothing more than if we could follow this up with last week's races right after the documentary airs. It could be great for us, but super excited about that, and super excited to have that. So go to FridayNightThunderTV.com in the coming weeks for more information and uploads as we get through the winter months. So that was one thing we definitely
my second point. Do you ever watch interviews with Glenn Stires and think back about 20, 25 years to how he used to? Glenn has always sort of communicated through his actions. Like, no, I've never met anyone, I don't think, that puts off more of a positive aura than Glenn Stires. If you're around him, you can just feel his energy. But when it came to speaking in front of a crowd or speaking into a microphone, it wasn't his strong suit. But I'll tell you, he's gotten to the point where he's really good.
There would be, if you look back at some of the vintage races we show in our Retro Rewind series, I see us, and we've got him in victory lane, and you've got him by the arm, and he's trying to walk away, and you're trying to turn him to the crowd, and he gets it now, and that's so cool, because you're right, he was so bad at talking and didn't want to talk at all in the beginning, and now you give him a microphone and he just runs away with it. Speaking of our retro racing series, I got a gift here for Spencer. Our buddy Rob Pitts dropped off a care package at my house, Adam, and it was this. That is chock full of racing videos. So let's just pull out a couple and see what we got in here. These are some gems, I got to tell you. And it's not just us weekend. So we're going to get these over to Spencer's for upload. So the first one I pulled out is Gasport Speedway, 1992.
Wow.
Okay, so these are going to be some gems in here.
So who produced it? Who would have produced video?
Man, this old one, I don't even know who it was. It's actually written on the label. So this was before anybody was labeling it on. It looks like a stencil. Maybe Fran would know who that video guy is. Fran, you probably got that tape, Fran. Okay, so let me show you another one. And then you get into the Highline video, who we stole this year, Chris Hawkins. That's a Highline video tape of Chris. That's when he was doing it. And this would be Gasport Speedway, May 19th, 2002. I'll just pull out one or two more just for shits and giggles to see what we got down deep in here. Right in the bottom, we pull out a performance video. So I'm not sure who that would have been, and Fran would have to tell us that. There's another Gasport 94. So watch for all these to start showing up on Retro Rewind. And I tell you, Adam, this is not a bag. Look at this thing. It is full to the top.
Wow.
A giant bag of videotape.
I used to love watching videos back in the 80s from Fulton Speedway, and I think it was Mel Thomas who was doing it then, who was still in the business, doing a great job. So just love the old videos. And I see, judging by the views, they get some attention. People are watching them.
Yeah, I really find it interesting to go back and see how many names are still around. You know, we're looking back at these videos, and I'm like, wow, that guy, like, he's a modified guy now. He was a street stalker way back then. Or, you know, and you watch them come up through the ranks. I think it's been so interesting. I cringe every time we're around because I hate hearing our voices 20 years ago. But watching the old races and the way the tracks even look different now, it's really interesting. So if you get a chance, check that out. It's our Retro Rewind series here on the channel. Wow, that's a tough one for the new face.
It is, though. We got a shout out from Tanner Van Doren. So let's shout back to him. Tanner, thanks for tuning in. We're doing good, man. We're talking about races that were videoed long before you were alive. So Tanner Van Doren might enjoy some of those retro rewinds.
Yeah, if you're wondering where you heard Tanner's name, we were speaking of him last week on the show when we were talking to Stephen Ovens about how iRacing is turning some of our iRacing stars into big league stars, sportsman winner there at the Eastern States, and that's awesome to see. Speaking of that, Modifieds took over iRacing last week, Adam, and I even dusted off my rig, got out there. I'm just as bad as ever, but I felt pretty good. I was running behind Connor for the majority of one of the races, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm all right if I can run with Daddy's money for a few laps here. And we had a good time. But, man, iRacing must have felt they made the right choice with those Modifieds. I bet their numbers were through the roof for the Northeast guys who bought them. I know every server all night long, even Friday night, Kenzie came down at 2:30 in the morning, and I have my new setup in the living room, and she came downstairs. She goes, Dad, what are you doing? And I said, I'm racing. She goes, yeah, but I got home at 9:30, and you were sitting in the same spot. Have you moved? And I said, I don't think so. So it suckered me in, and I had a great weekend.
Move my arms this way and this way. And
well, I got up to get a Pepsi and have a pee or two, but other than that, no, I didn't even go anywhere. But yeah, great dynamics in the rendering of the Modifieds is amazing. You got to check it out if you haven't. Super excited to be seeing that come down. It's a big thing for our sport, especially you and I, who tend to hang around sprint cars a lot more on the dirt side of the world, but we all grew up heavily in the modified world and are definitely modified fans. Greg Callan will tell you the same thing too. We're modifieds at heart, even though sprint cars hold our paychecks these days. But anything you want to add to that?
What did I want to add? I keep having a thought that pops into my head and disappears. Oh, I want to talk iRacing a little bit more. Tonight is the Blacktop Rivals, presented by Caldecott Millwright Services finale for the fall season. We're at Kansas. It is a treacherous racetrack where you run around the wall. It's going to be tough. Spencer, I just sent an image to you, though. Are you able to throw that up on the screen? I don't know how good or bad. Even show it really quickly. Just flash it on the screen. Our friend Michael Morley, who's run a little bit with us, Clinton, he entered this race that's happening tonight and tomorrow night by some iRacing sports league, but it pays $7,500 to win. There are 24 qualifying heats. Each of those heats, I believe, has about 20 drivers in it. That's the list I had sent to Spencer that wasn't going to look good on the screen. The top 2 finishers from each of these groups, and this is group 25, will advance to tomorrow's event that pays $7,500 to win. So quick math on my part says they got about 500 entries for this race, and I hadn't heard anything about it. I asked Connor, my son, who's the big iRacer in the house, is it, did you enter this big race? Like, do you know people doing it? He said, no, I haven't heard about it. But that's some serious money, and I'd like to see how it goes over. But what's the name of the driver involved? Iwuji, the NASCAR racer, Jesse Iwuji. Apparently, he is behind it somehow.
And, $7,500 to win the race. We're like, wow, that's pretty good money. But really, it's not huge money when you've got that kind of participation working into it. And I think the key there was no entry fee, right? So, just straight up sponsor. That's a cool deal.
We've got
on that. Go ahead. I was going to say that takes us to our
comments.
Video of the week.
Okay, so quickly, but before we do the Burger Barn video of the week, we've had people asking about a 2020 year in review. We had a quick discussion about this, Clinton. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're not planning on doing a year in review, but we are planning on showing a holiday marathon of short track racing, where you'll be able to catch all the racing you can handle. I would have a really hard time doing a year in review and being able to pick out highlights.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about our year here in the next couple minutes. When you look at how things went for us, we did have a lot of amazing moments this year. When it looked like we weren't going to get anything going. But let's jump to the Burger Barn video of the week. Then we can wrap up iRacing and we'll get into some discussion about how the year went. This is our Burger Barn video of the week. Don't forget, Burger Barn gift certificates are still available for that down-home cooking. Don't forget to stop by Travel Plus, Petrol Plus Travel Stop when you're right next door there, and pick up some certificates, get some fuel up your gut. Burger Barn, here's your Burger Barn video of the week. Check out this simulator, Adam. I thought it was super cool. A little bit out of our budget, but Connor's going to expect this in the spare bedroom before long. Check out this rig these guys have built. It looks like it'd be a blast. Talk about getting it in the zone.
Yeah, for sure. You wouldn't want to be claustrophobic in there, but yeah, that's even got the butt kickers and the motion. And I've never known, Clinton, if I would enjoy full motion or not. I don't know if I would or not. It's just not something that really appeals to me.
I struggled with it. I used to love roller coasters, but I can't do them anymore. So I got in one of these with the Oculus Rift glasses on, and I felt like I was drunk for about an hour after I got out of the thing. I was in but then, there were a different one we tried, which was at the Motorama show when we had the announcers challenge and we were in that full motion rig, and I didn't feel claustrophobic or sick after that. It felt realistic. So I don't know. I was into it. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Well, and that's what I've heard from the real motion. What's the company that built it? They were saying when it's done right, you don't get motion sickness.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the adjustment, right? You don't be whipped around, and that's the one I was in. I was getting beat up. So, and especially if you can't drive and you're in the wall, you're really getting pounded around. So, it didn't quite go too well. All right, let's jump on to DirtTrackNation.shop.
What's a bunch of old people doing around that simulator? Like, clearly it's built for their grandkids.
Yeah, but just like, how it goes. Parents got to buy it. Spencer, let's look at our DirtTrackNation.shop. This is our buddy Greg Callanan's website. He's got this set up, Adam, and this is super slick. Greg's now offering all these products online at DirtTrackNation.shop. Some great programs. I talked to Greg briefly today that we're going to be announcing with him in the new year, and super proud of what Greg's done with this brand. I love it. I've bought a lot of the stuff over the summer, and give it to my friends. But if you're looking for a last minute gift guide or something you need to give away, go check it out. They have all kinds of genres from modifieds to sprint cars, whatever kind of racing you're into. Check it out. Greg does some amazing designs there. So that's dirttracknation.shop, and we're going to be talking more about that. This is my Game Face shirt. It's one of the best shirts out there. I love that one. So give that a look. And that brings us to our last 15 minutes or so, where we're just going to talk about the year that was 2020. How strange it was. I mean, we kicked off the year thinking everything was good. From our neck of the woods, we were hot off our first year on live TV. We were planning to come back and do that. I don't think we ever saw ourselves as entrenched in the asphalt APC side of stuff when 2021 started. But we came out of it as great partners with APC and looking forward to the upcoming season. When did it really hit you that things were different? For me, it was the day of setting up at Motorama. We were just talking about it. They had just shut down the NBA the night before. And then by Sunday, 2 days later, the world was upside down. So that's when it kicked off for me.
It's funny you say that, Clinton, because the moment that sticks out in my mind is recent. It was our meeting with the pave track promoters, because Luke Ramsey from APC was chairing this meeting and basically said, guys, that the future of our sport is live streaming, and it's free. We've got to get behind this product, and it's going to lead to people coming into our grandstands. And all the promoters basically sat there nodding their heads like, yep, this is where we got to be. So it's funny. You look at something back in March, and I look at something back in November that showed me this year was so screwed up, but it led to a shift in focus that I think if you're a short track racing enthusiast, you need to be excited for what's coming.
100%. If anything, and I go back to what Tony Spiteri from Pinty said to me on that weekend of Motorama, and we were sitting there talking on the phone, and he said, buddy, don't let a good crisis go to waste. And I think we've totally done that. And I think also Freddie Carlton said to me at the first Maryville race when we were live, he said, wow, this situation really fell into your live stream lap, didn't it? And I go, yeah, I guess it kind of did. We never could have predicted we would be where we were. It started with some discussion about, hey, what would it take to get some streaming going? And by the end of the summer, we were working, it seemed like every weekend, putting a race on somewhere. And I thought we did a great job of putting it on. And this is our first event at Humberstone. And I think we improved so much by the end of the summer with our G-Force crew. Even still, this was a great race. And this is kind of what kicked off the season for, I don't want to say everybody in Ontario, but most of the tracks in Ontario got underway because they saw this, the math behind this race and how it could be manageable and how it could be worked with a bit of sponsorship help. And, that took us next off to Flamborough. And from there, Adam, it was just one thing after another. And, by the end of the summer, we did, I think it was 19 events, which is crazy.
It didn't seem like 19 events, but it did seem like a real adventure. It was so, you can't describe, and I want people in the grandstands. I want to go back to the races when the places are packed, but I really hope when we do, Clinton, we have the same energy, the same positivity through the pit area that we did this year.
Yeah, I think we saw everybody work together so well. Everybody realized that we had to kind of take the proper precautions and do the right things. I think you're going to still see some changes going into next year as the track promoters have had to get smarter. I don't think you're going to see a lot of things get easier, so meaning the registration process. A lot of things we learned this year are probably going to be around for the future, but for the track promoters, sometimes that's good. I think you're going to see a lot more pre-registrations continue to be the norm, things like that, so you can start to justify who's coming and what they're doing. And that's the other thing. I think you're going to see us be told a little bit here in the racing world is everybody in your pit crew may need a job. So we'll see how that one shakes out, as Mark Rinaldi kind of mentioned to us a couple weeks back. But all in all, I think the racing did very well. I think the promoters are a lot stronger because they've worked together this summer. I think even as we've said in this program the past couple of weeks, on both the dirt and the pavement side, all the promoters are pulling together. Nobody seems interested in stepping on each other's toes. They all seem very respectful of what I've come over to call the last few years heritage dates, meaning, the classic date at this track that they've always done. Nobody stomps on that, and they kind of stay out of the way, and it works together. And the last thing I want to say about that is, as we've said, also all the tracks are planning on a full season next year. Nobody's planning to take a back seat, and if we have to make a COVID plan, everybody will know where they need to go. So that's exciting as well.
Yeah, and you know what? It was a forced cooperation. I mean, it wasn't like promoters were lined up at the candy shop to get a piece of the action. But I think if they all realized that, hey, if we want to do anything, we better try and do this. You know what I mean? But once it happened and certain things were discovered and it just it gelled the racing community in a way that I haven't seen happen in quite a while, or ever. But we'll see where it goes. I'm excited. I think people have a lot of reason to be excited to see what's going to happen next year. We saw divisions explode in numbers, like the super stocks, the crate sprints continue to take off. There's just so many things that you can point to say, wow, this is reassuring. And folks, please understand, we know that there are many of you, and I'll say many of us out there, that really struggled this year. And we're pulling for you. We want to get back to normal. We want you to get back to the lifestyle that you deserve. So let's get through this and let's move forward. I hate to talk about success, Clinton. I hate to talk about all this shiny, happy stuff when there's people that are really struggling.
Yeah, it was a real year, that's for sure. And of course, our hearts go to anybody who's struggling. And that's the great thing about the racing community, though. A lot of people work together, even outside the tracks. And I've seen a lot of cooperation. I've seen a lot of charity going on in the racing world to help each other out. And it's been amazing to see everybody work together and do all these great things. Just jumping back to what you said about divisions that are blossoming. I got a message this week. I didn't confirm it with Dave Gainforth. They actually asked him to come on the show. He said he'd come on in the new year. I'm here. We're looking 55 hot rods and 40 mods registered for the Oscar divisions already, and that is amazing. I knew the Oscar hot rods were going to take off, but man, can you imagine 55 of them showing up at Jukasa to try and qualify for 30 spots? I mean, that would be amazing.
Clinton, maybe it's time. Maybe this pandemic is what drives some of the fringe divisions off into the sunset. Focus on the divisions of growth.
You're right, Adam. And, as we sit in these promoter meetings, I look at some of these divisions and we've heard the talk and I think, okay, where do those guys fit into all of this now? You know what I mean? And I think maybe this is the year where some of them become stronger and some of them get flushed out who aren't really as strong as they were. I mean, even on the dirt side, they've extended the trucks in Niagara for one more year, but, that's getting flushed out, and that will eventually make the mini stock stronger because the guys who continue to race are just going to move to mini stock instead of dividing those into two. You're going to see that in the pavement world. I mean, if we were cynical, we could get on here and talk about who we thought would be the next one to disappear, but I don't want to make any of those cars upset with us right now and start talking about predictions like that. I do have some thoughts on it, but that's for some bench racing, not here on the program because I don't have the knowledge yet, and most of it's opinion. So, Spencer, any other comments we want to get in before we wrap it up? Just a reminder, everybody, Adam and I will be off for the next 2 weeks as we celebrate the holidays, and we'll be back at you 3 weeks from tonight. I'm not even sure what date that is, but we can figure it out quickly. The 5th, we'll be back January 5th for our next show, and we appreciate everybody hanging out with us each and every week.
It's actually going to be December 36th, 2020, Clinton, because I don't know that 2020 is actually going to leave come New Year's Eve. So I hope it does. I hope at the end of the last day of December, the clocks flip and the calendar flips.
I opened my calendar and I just looked at to get January 5th, and you said December 36th. And I actually looked back at the calendar, be like, did they put a 36 on this year? Because I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Because
Oh,
it has been a crazy season, that's for sure. And
I
you got your Mindwell
yeah,
session coming up Thursday. So if anybody's struggling, don't forget to sign in there. And 7:00 on Adam's Facebook page. Don't forget there. But we encourage everybody to go back. You're right, Adam. You did mention a marathon. We're going to do that, Spencer. Chime in our ears. When did you want to do that? I think it was all day Christmas Day. We're going to start running the Christmas Eve starting
Christmas Eve starting at noon.
to Christmas Day around
Nice.
later in the day. But it's going to be great. So starting at noon Christmas Eve, we'll start with our Operation Green Flag, and I'm assuming Humberstone. We'll run through the entire summer. So check in G-Force over those 2 days. And if you're sitting around with your family, I just put a new couch in the living room, so brought it up from the basement. So we're going to be ready to watch it right there on the TV all summer, and it'll be all summer, all day Christmas. So get ready, family.
If I watch it, it's going to be on mute. I can't listen to us all day. I couldn't possibly.
When we did
But it
that
would be neat.
little review there, man, seeing Fitzpatrick get spun out and the yellow knot come out, and then them wrecking at sunset and some of the wild action, man. We saw some crazy stuff this year. The racing never ceased to let us down, that's for sure, anytime we do. How about car counts, Adam? On a year when things were tough, everywhere we went, we had full fields. That was great. I mean, that's a little bit by design. They picked the divisions that they know they could fill up, but I think the teams did a great job filling the pits everywhere we went. I mean, we had great stuff to show.
I think by and large, Clint, people needed it. This is their therapy. Taking your race car to the track very much is therapy, and that's what makes me feel bad, because for the ones who did, we were so appreciative and we were glad to be there with you. For those who couldn't, you're not getting left behind. By no means think that. Hang in there, and we're looking forward to when you come back. But yeah, I think people needed it. They would do what they had to do to get there if it was at all possible.
So as we get through the next couple weeks, Adam, we got a lot of planning going on. There's a lot of great things coming down the pipe as we get set to announce a lot of things. And I'm not sure what kind of announcements are going to come out between now and then. I know it seems like a lot of the tracks in the States started putting out their schedules. A lot of them would have come out at PRI. So we've seen some of them trickle out the past few weeks. Here in Canada, things normally Motorama was the big reveal for a lot of the tracks and leading up to that. So I think as soon as we turn the corner into January, you're going to see a lot more tracks and speedways putting out their schedules as they get ready to go. If you're on social media, you see a lot of it coming around. So I don't see anybody getting ready to slow down as we get into the next season. And, as we wrap things up here on our last couple minutes, anything you want to add, anything you want to get to before we drop 2020, hopefully in the ditch where it belongs?
You know what? I want to thank people. If you're watching this stream right now, thank you from the bottom of my heart for the support that we got all year. Support at the races, personal support over what was a tragic year in the Ross family. I just want to thank you guys for being there, guys and gals, for being there and being as supportive as you have been. It's been a real adventure. It's been a privilege, but more importantly than any of that, it was a time where our racing family pulled together, and I needed it, and I thank you for it.
Yeah, good point, Adam. Certainly tough year for you, losing both your parents, man. I can't even imagine. On that note, let's talk about something you and I discussed a little bit, and that's celebrating the victories. So as you sit and you look back at the year that, might have been terrible for you, if you had some wins, go out and celebrate those wins. And, we talked about that between you and I personally. Sometimes we forget about all the good things that happened as the chaos of life rushes down that super highway. So sometimes you have to sit back and reflect. Our G-Force team has a lot of positives to reflect on. But as you know, we always feel we're just getting started. We have a lot of improvements to go. And we're excited to bring everybody a really, fantastic 2021 racing season. We expect to keep pushing out some amazing free broadcasts and keep the sport as healthy as we can here from the G-Force TV side of things. As always, want to wish happy holidays to Spencer and Daniel. We don't talk a lot about Daniel, but Daniel was a right-hand man for Spencer this summer, a huge part of everything we did. So huge thanks to Spencer and Daniel for carrying that ship. And then even when things went really chaotic a few times, and back to that first Humberstone race, I think it was the first time I ever heard Spencer say the F word. And it was right about 10 minutes before we went on the air. And I come in, I must look white as a ghost. And you said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I don't know. I just heard Spencer say the F word. And in 4 years, I never heard that. We must be in trouble." And somehow we got on the air in time. And by the end of the year, we learned just to leave Spencer alone and he'll paddle harder. And somehow it all comes together. But amazing problem solving by our team. And we're going to be better going forward. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for everything you do. Adam, take us home.
Don't be shy, folks. Reach out and message Clinton. Reach out and message me. Reach out and message our pages, GeForce TV. Tell us what you think. Give us your thoughts. If you have a guest suggestion, even if that suggestion is yourself or somebody else, whatever it happens to be. If we don't hear from you, we don't know what you want, and we can't give it to you. So please don't be shy with your thoughts and opinions. We love hearing them. Stay safe. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And I look forward to seeing everybody very, very soon.
Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Have a great. Stay safe.